Hi everyone, welcome back to Random Talk with NG. I am Ngozi Obiefuna, and for the past 2 weeks, I've been having this conversation with my friend Daniel, where we've been speaking on soft skills that pay hard: communication, empathy, and influence. And for 2 weeks, we've talked about communication, we've talked about empathy, we've talked about influence, and now we want to see how they all work together. Using practical applications and using practical examples. I hope the conversations have been quite insightful and impactful for you. And now that we have explored these skills separately, I believe the real magic happens when they work together. So, how do you think communication, empathy, and influence feed into each other?
Okay, so I want to believe that they are all a sequence, right? For those of us that are, team leaders, the first thing for you to be able to even have influence to your team is your ability to communicate with them. And one of the best way in communication is to be empathetic as well. And so it would be a great tool if you have been able to harness these three things we have talked about: the ability to communicate properly, the ability to show empathy, the ability to be influential. I remember having conversations with my team members, and sometimes we go on a spree of accounting arguments, especially when it has to do with some form of audit procedures that we carry out. I engage them in saying, why exactly do you think we do what we do? Because most of the time I see people just prepare work papers, but they don't know why we are doing them. So when I engage in, having those conversations with them, I realize that in my ability to expressly communicate to them on the reasons for this thing, while understanding that they do not know. Because most of the time when I speak to them, I tell them that I was also once in your shoes. Somebody just gives me a work paper, I just change the numbers, put it there, and then calculate, and then I send it for review, without understanding, and making them understand that it's not bad, it's not worse that you are making the mistake. Where it is worse is having realized that you've made a mistake, you keep making them. So I tend to usually use myself, and my growth in my career as a point of reference whenever I'm speaking to them. That's being empathetic, making them realize that, oh no, come on, it's not a you thing, it's a we thing, it's a person thing, it's a human thing, And in that way, I realized that, when they go to the next job, they wouldn't make that same mistake. That is leaving them empowered, and then I make sure that, I'm open, I'm honest, even where I may not be completely certain about the discussions we have. I'll tell them, can you give me some few minutes, let me research and I will get back to you, just so that we can have a fruitful conversation. The ability to harness these three skills is going to be very, very powerful, because whether we like it or not, we need ourselves to survive in this world. It's not easy alone, considering the current situation of the country. We can't survive on our own. Even the Bible, at one point, God had to find a woman for a man, because he believed that he couldn't have survived on his own. And so the fact that we need ourselves means that we should be able to communicate properly. We should be able to be empathetic to one another. And we also should be able to be influential. And you would see the result of being influential. I know there are certain people that I can pick up my phone and call now and say, I need you to help me with something. And within 1 or 2 hours, they get it done. It's not because they are younger than I am. It's not because they are at a lower level than I am. But because I've built up a relationship with them to the point whereby I have influence in being able to ask for something to be done, and they will get it done. Recently, it's one I asked, who is on leave, that I pleaded to help me do, tailor out a particular workflow For those of you that are familiar with what I'm talking about. And in less than 24 hours, I had a file that has been tailored out already. Some people may say, it's because you're a manager. Not really. The person could have told me I'm on leave. I don't have access to my laptop, and nothing will happen. But it's actually because of the relationship we've built, the ability for me to have been able to communicate where he was doing right, where he was doing wrong, the ability for me to also put myself in his shoes. Sometimes when he calls and says, I'm having a headache, I'm not sure I'll be able to come to the office. And I thought, you can work from home. If you can't work, let me know. I'll just notify them that you can't work and you rest, Had given me that influence in him, influence on him to be able to tell him to get things done for me, and he gets it done. So if you are listening to this, or you will listen to this, I would say that you need to harness those skills very well. Once you're able to do so, it's I can say that you have unlocked one of the secrets of success in life.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Daniel. So as we wind down on this episode, this is where it gets practical. How can we as listeners start to build these skills in our daily life? So what's one soft skill you wish more people would take seriously?
For me, I'm sure a lot of people may be surprised. For me, it's communication. For me, it will be communication. Because if you do not have the ability to communicate properly, even when you try to be empathetic, they will think that you are being manipulative. In fact, it could be misunderstood because over the years, they've known you to be someone that doesn't communicate well. So they are not sure. They're not certain of your objective in this empathy that you're showing. They may probably be thinking you want to just use it to gain cheap popularity. The current Gen Zs that we have will tell you want to gain cheap popularity. So I would say one thing we all should work on, and don't get me wrong, it's not something that you can outgrow. You can't say that I've outgrown the ability to communicate because you've not also met some certain type of people. So I think it's a skill that we need to learn every day on the ability to communicate. Having understood that your audience will never be the same. So if today you have learned how to, be calm, take a deep breath in your communication, say the words gently so that the person understands. You are saying so, you are most likely doing so because of the audience you are speaking to. You need to also understand that tomorrow, the audience you may be speaking to may be people that when you are speaking to, it becomes boring to them. So you need to be able to ask yourself, who am I speaking to? Who are my audience? How do I change, my mode of communication so that I can get to my target audience? So if you have the ability to communicate properly, I feel that empathy becomes very easy. Empathy becomes very easy. I'm yet to see people that communicate well and do not have empathy. I can be proven wrong, but it's rare. It's rare that you have the ability to communicate properly. People listening to you, they understand what you're saying, and you're not empathetic. And then I don't know what you've been communicating. Maybe you've been talking, and not communicating. So that is one of the skills I would say we should work on. The rest, I think, come as a result of your ability to communicate properly.
That's actually very true. That's very true. So if someone wanted to start building these skills today, what's the first practical step you would suggest? I know you've talked about, communication being the bedrock, but what's the first practical step that you would suggest?
Well, I think the first thing is for everyone to first of all understand that you can learn it. There's some people that will say, at this age, is this something I can still do? Yes, you can learn it. And you have to be deliberate about it. I would also recommend that you read books that can help you. develop your communication skills, your empathetic skills, and your influential skills. At the end, I think it's more personal and individual oriented than me just giving you some steps. But I think on a general note, what I would say is you first of all need to understand that it's a skill that can be learned. Understand your own weakness, assess yourself first and say, okay, which part of communication am I having issue with? Take your mind back to where people are giving you feedback on how you've communicated. Work on those feedbacks that have been identified as weakness. Sometimes it could be the tone. I remember when I did my first presentation to the audit committee, and I sought for feedback from the partner on the job when we were having this presentation. And the partner had mentioned that, the presentation was fine, but the thing was that your tone was going up, coming down, going up, coming down, and you were not able to maintain a level of your tone when presenting. And that's what you can do is when you notice that your throat is getting dry, you can just take a sip of water so that you can refuel back to the tone which you had originally started with. So those sometimes it just could be the tone that is making people not listen to you. And it could be your vocabulary. So again, the question is, have you been able to identify where the weaknesses in your communication is, so that you can then say, okay, this is what I need to work on, and then be able to, mitigate those weaknesses. Again, if we're talking about communication as a topic on its own, probably I would have just gone into various, things that types or the angles or areas in communication that you need to put into consideration. But in summary, to just respond to your question, understand that you can learn it. Do a self-review of whatever is the weakness. You can either speak to persons, you can read books, you can do research, and work on it daily. Every day, try and work on it daily, and seek for constructive feedback whenever you make or you communicate. Always ask questions like, do you understand what I mean? Do you think that there should have been a better way? You could just haven't had a conversation. You can just call the person aside and say, sorry, I just want to be sure that you understood what I'm saying, or should I have said it differently? So that you can just get a clear insight as to where you are currently and how you need to work on the other areas.
Yes, thank you very much. So I have a quick fire statement for you. So finish this sentence. Soft skills have paid hard in my life when
I communicate properly, when I show empathy, and when I have influence on others.
Thank you. This has been such an enlightening conversation. Thank you very much, Daniel, for sharing your wisdom and stories. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Marianne, for having me. And again, and to the listeners, these are purely Daniel's opinion, and you're free to have a different opinion. I would be open to any discourse afterwards on any areas that you feel that is not completely true. And I will also plead with them, Marianne, I would love to be in your program again if the opportunity comes.
It will come. Thank you very much. My goodness, what a conversation it has been. If there are any topics you would like me to touch on or invite guests to speak to us about, don't forget to leave it as a comment, or feel free to reach out to me on Instagram and TikTok at Random Talk with NG, and via mail at mnobfna@gmail.com. And I hope that Random Talk with NG has been adding value in the best way it can in your daily living. Till I come your way next time, this is Random Talk with NG with Ngozi Obiefuna. Have a great week ahead.